Listen, I don't know the last time we addressed Sean Hannity. It's probably been a while. Sean Hannity is the equivalent of Rachel Madcow as far as I'm concerned. But here's the thing about Hannity, Jen, and this just goes to show you how much we never talk about him. Wait until you see.
Hannity's still around?
Wait until you see what he looks like now.
Fox News alert, incumbent Congressman Dan Goldman, who was just banned from a New York City coffee shop because of his support for Israel. He has now lost his primary to a radical socialist backed by Mamdani. It appears that...
Did you hear...
There's a radical socialist.
Did you hear how his voice cracked? He sounded like he was going to cry.
Not just that, but I don't want to comment because it very well could be medical or health related, but he looks extremely like he's retaining a lot of water. Like he looks really something like swollen or something, like, I don't know. I don't want to say, oh, he just gained a lot of weight. I don't know what's going on there, but he looks very different from the last time I ever saw him.
Yeah, well, like I said, we normally do not address him. We don't address Fox News or MSDNC or CNN. But this was, like I said, listen to it one more time. It sounds like he's going to cry.
Has now lost his primary to a radical socialist backed by Mamdani.
Oh my God.
Backed by Mamdani.
The radical socialist.
A pretty scary transformation is now fully underway in the Democratic Party, especially in a blue state like New York.
Especially like a blue state like New York. Yeah. Isn't that just kind of what one would have expected to happen? No. Listen, this is one of the reasons why, and let's be very clear about this. Yeah, that's what we said. I want to be very clear about this. We are the United States of America for a reason. You know, not everybody, that's unfortunate if it's a booze bloke, because that's another dig at the Irish.
I'm just looking at potential comments. I'm just looking at possibilities. I can't, you know, again, I'm not an expert on it. He looks very different.
One of the things that we've talked about, in particular, when it comes to this congressional primary race in South Florida that Wasserman Schultz is attempting to ingratiate her way into, that demographic of people that live in that district are not the same type of voters that live in New York City. So that type of a left push that you are seeing in New York is not something you're going to see all over the country. However, I do believe that because of the fact we're in a very radical, if you will, transitional period right now in this country, I do believe that some of what Mamdani is doing in New York could be duplicated in a number of other places. South Florida notwithstanding. But I do believe that he's onto something, because the proof is in the pudding. And now that he has put 3 impressive federal chess pieces on the board, as well as several state legislators in New York, well, if Zoran had intention of getting things done in the city in regards to, you want to call it a socialist agenda, well, he's now going to have his shot. He's definitely going to have an opportunity to make some headway here. What do you think?
Well, this is him definitely sticking it to all the people that have been bitching about him winning since he won. This is just him doubling down. So he's basically like, not only was I popular enough to win, but I'm popular enough to get 3 other people to win too. So I think their fear factor is multiplied. And of course, I'm here for it.
Well,
regardless of what happens with him, the fact that he's sticking it to those people, and 2 of those people, like, it's so funny that Hannity's bitching about Brad Lander, when of those 3 people, he's the only one that is like fairly not like milquetoast, not gonna, right.
Yeah, he represents one of the 2 wealthiest districts in New York City. The other one, of course, was one, which was the Upper West Side and Central Manhattan, you know, Central Park, basically, the wealthiest part of Manhattan. And it was won by a total Zionist, Micah Pasha, or whatever his name is. But the great thing about that race, I will say this, there's even a silver lining in that race, Jen. That was the congressional race that both Jack Kennedy Schlossberg and George Conway tried to win. They combined to spend, I believe, about $10 million on that race.
Who won the race?
this guy, Micah Posher, who's part of the, he's part of the establishment, if you will. But just the fact that you had these guys like George Conway being the shit poster online that he is, and got so much money to run in this race, and he got 5% of the vote. It's sometimes some people need to be embarrassed or punched in the mouth, and then you learn.
Oh, I think a lot of times people need to be punched in the mouth.
Well, in the case of Zoran, he is not afraid to do the things that many of us were hoping AOC was going to be willing to do. And now she has firmly taken a back seat to Zoran in New York City. 100%.
Well, I never put her in the front seat the way you and some other people did in terms of what her influence was or what she did. I think that her winning in 2018 was inspired for a lot of people. And I think very shortly thereafter, those people came to realize that there's no there there. So I don't really think that she's had any real impact other than maybe for one or so election cycles after, where people might have felt inspired to get involved, but nothing in the realm of what he just did.
Here's what Zoran had to say, and there's a lot to dig in on this.
I wanted to share a few words with all of you, which is first and foremost, this is your victory. What you all have shown this evening, whether for state assembly, state senate, or Congress, is that a year ago, it was not the end of a political movement. It was the beginning. And I want to thank you, because in this room, I see those who believed no matter what tweet they read from Michael Lang. They believed. They put that anxiety into shifts. They put it into door knocks, into phone calls. Raise your hand if you canvassed. Those are the hands that won this race. And every single one of these incredible candidates, they are going to be the partners in transforming the most expensive city in the United States of America into one that working New Yorkers can afford.
And nothing scares the ruling class more than a statement like that, because that's not just coming from anybody. That is coming from the most popular Democrat in the United States right now. And he is the leader. He is the chief executive of the biggest and most powerful city in the country. So they should be shitting in their pants. Because in my opinion, and this you may share this, you may not, but this is just the beginning. I believe he's going to expand. No, he can't become president.
Justin, he can't run for president because he was born in Uganda and he is not a natural born citizen. So, but we agree. He's definitely would be somebody that I could see future contention for that role, but not going to happen. Yeah.
Constitutional amendment, but not for somebody like him, that's for sure.
So one more time, let's hear it for Deanna Moreno. Let's hear it for David Orkin. Let's hear it for Samantha Gatan. Let's hear it for Abir Kawas. Let's hear it for Claire Valdez.
4 of the 5 people he just addressed are going to Albany. So he didn't just do this with the hopes of bringing federal dollars to New York City, which obviously matters as well.
Nope.
He is focused on making sure that Hakel answers to him, not the other way around.
He's smart. He knows how to get his people in there. Again, this guy is really smooth. And his political sense is brilliant. But not just that, but the amount of power in terms of getting the state divested from Zio-Hell when you get enough people in there that at that level. I mean, I think he's working on a long-term plan. He's working the long game.
He is.
And let's hear it for a politics that will never forget working people. For a politics that is ready to write a new chapter in our party's history. And for a politics that realizes the old politics that got us to this crisis is not the politics that's going to get us out of this crisis. It's time for working people to be back at the heart of our politics. These are the champions who will do it. Thank you all so much.
You know, I would say that perhaps the most awe-inspiring part of this entire windfall of an election in New York is the fact that Zoran pretty much did this all by himself. His star is so bright that he didn't need AOC, and he also did not have the labor unions. The labor unions got behind the establishment incumbent representatives. So Zoran's ability to supersede all of that is beyond impressive. You know, Claire Valdez, you know, obviously everybody focuses on Chevalier's victory being the biggest one. And I would agree, of the three, she had the biggest upset. But do not underestimate Valdez's victory either. She beat, I think it was the Brooklyn borough president. I mean, the borough president in New York politics is considered the stepping stone to either the mayor's seat or Congress. That is generally how this works. So the fact that she didn't just win that race, she won it in a walk. She won it by, I think, close to 25 points. So that to me really goes to show you that if there isn't an understanding now that Zoran is the leader of New York politics, they got that memo on Tuesday. That includes Hakeem Jeffries. Better understand that if he gets in Zoran's way, he's next.
I think, look, you know, maybe Zoran has his eye on a statewide position. That's definitely the, you know, what do you call it? The starting point for somebody that would want to run for governor is where he's at. I mean, that always makes the most logical sense to go from a chief executive to a chief executive. But
sure.
Yeah, so maybe he's getting his ducks in a row again with this long game in mind, that's what he has his eye on. Who knows?
The Zionist freakout has been loud and pathetic at the same time. And
you're going to have to be specific. Which Zionist freakout are we talking
Well, that's
about?
the thing. You see, there's a lot of different places that we can go. There's a lot of different places we can go with this. But let's go with the most obvious one, which, of course, is the day before the election, Dan Goldman decided to visit Poetica Coffee in Brooklyn. And once they found out that the pro-Israel genocidal nut job, Nepo baby to the Levi Strauss fortune, decided to patron their establishment, they said, here's your money back. We don't want Zion, you know, we don't want pro-Israel Zionists here.
Good.
And so naturally, Leora Rez and all of the Stop Anti-Semites, they decided to show up and they were going to protest. But let me tell you something. P.T. Barnum and Bailey Circus, New York City, going back to the turn of the 20th century, any publicity is good publicity. Somehow they thought this was a good idea. It turns out it wasn't.
Today, outside Poetica Coffee, to protest racism. We're protesting racism. Jew-hating racism. And let us be precise about what happened. Everyone.
Jews are not a race.
To them, they are.
I know to them they are, but Jews are not a race, and this isn't racism. You can't have there's no such thing as racism against Jews. Who is this crazy lady?
So I think this is Leora Rez.
No, that is not Leora Rez.
Okay, so it's a doppelganger. You know, they all look alike.
Well, I'm just saying it's not her.
Yes, and Miguel brings it up. Listen, I will never forget growing up in New Jersey, the 1877 Cars for Kids ads. I mean, those were played incessantly. They never stopped putting that on the air. And so they're thinking that this is actually doing them a favor, when in reality, across the street, you can't see them in the shot, but across the street, you have the, what are those Hasidic Jews called again, Jen?
You have to be specific. There's different
ones that are pro-Palestine.
Well, you're speaking of the Couture, Natura Carte, somebody.
Something.
Couture, damn it. Justin, yes. There are Black Jews. And yes, if you were Black, you could also become a Jew, because Judaism is a religion. It is not a race. It is not a race. In fact, race is a social construct. I hate to get into that, but yeah, Jews is not a race. That's not a thing. That's not a thing. So Iranian Jews, I would say their race is Persian, right? So those Jews are Persian Jews. Then you might have Jews that are from South America, and maybe they're, so who knows what they would associate their, ethnicity. It's a religion. It's a religion.
So the Natari Karta
Thank you, Kenman.
And the pro-Palestinian contingent that's across the street, you've got people shouting at the top of their lungs, baby killers, because that's what they are. And we're going to get to that shortly. But this is, without a doubt, they're not going to have a moment's peace. That's the thing that they still don't understand.
And yes, of course, there's Black Jews, people. Yes.
Yes, they are showing their whole ass here in this case.
Precision here is key. We're going to be precise. A business open to the public identified a customer, decided after the fact that he belonged to a forbidden category, voided the transaction that he had completed, and posted a standing notice that people like him are not welcome and will be turned away on site. Do you hear this? In 2026, this is what occurred just a couple of days ago, right over here. They closed up a Jewish public official because the shop treated Israel.
Okay, so Israel is an ethno-state because an ethno-state can be based on religion. It really can, because we're not talking about whether or not it's an ethnicity as much as we're talking about, can you have a state that is completely in, for, about, and only respondent to one group of people. So it's run like, it's an ethno-state. And what's even more sick about it is it's a secular state based on a religion. Figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
AIPAC and pro-Israel civic participation as proxies for a forbidden identity. This isn't a boycott of a policy. This is a boycott of identity. This is a boycott of identity. This is racism. Full stop, dressed up as a disagreement with a state.
Oh my God. Oh my God, this lady.
The amazing thing about these people, as we have talked about ad nauseum, is that they are of the upper class. These are all people that live very comfortable lives. These are not people that are struggling to put food on the table. In fact, these are people, much like Jen's mother-in-law, would talk about where do you winter?
No,
or
she asked me, where do your people winter? But that's neither here nor there. This is what I want people to understand most importantly about that woman you were just watching right there that's claiming that this is somehow a racist situation. I guarantee you that her and her family and her friends use the most racist words about Black people that you could possibly imagine.
Oh, you better believe it.
And I bet you anything that while she's sitting there and claiming racism, like as if Judaism is a race, she would have zero respect, zero give a shit for the people that are Black Jews, which are your Mizrahi Jews, whether it's your Arabic Jews or your African Jews. She would consider them lesser.
Correct.
But yet she's standing there and screaming about racism.
Well, the thing you also have to remember about women like that, and we've experienced this, and for those who have not heard this story before, but we'll remind you guys, when we were on the second campaign in 2024, or was it, no, actually, I think it was the first one. It was it 20? Yeah, I think it was. Actually, it was the first one. So we were building a community garden. And we were doing our best to try to help a community in Hollywood, Florida that desperately needed help. And it's one of those communities that is predominantly Black and it's impoverished. And we were building a community garden. And needless to say, the community was almost flabbergasted that we were trying to help. And they were so excited, and they had a kite day, and we were growing all types of fruits and vegetables. It was a great experience until the Zio cunt from Miami Beach decided to come into the neighborhood. Because why? Because she is a rich Zio who bought up a handful of houses and is trying to convert them into Airbnbs. Jen, would you like to share your side of how this
Zio
unfolded?
Karen?
Yes.
Yeah, basically the property next door to our community garden was purchased by an Israeli couple. And we never met the husband, but the wife would be over there, and she would be like watching every move we make and just coming over and being annoyed by every little thing that was going on in the garden and telling us different, like I was calling her Hebrew Karen at the time. And yeah, of course, this is long before October 7th. So we weren't in this same state of mind. But of course, I've known my whole life that Israelis are as Israelis do. And it was never good. And what this woman does not realize is the amount of times that I actually saved her life. And she has no concept of the amount of times that I saved her life from angry people that were holding shovels and other garden implements that would have maybe buried her where she was standing.
She also
I'm just putting that out there, and she has no clue.
She also decided to get into the face of somebody who absolutely could have had her removed from this earth. Like
Absolutely.
she was basically calling him his face.
Well, he was, and I pulled this woman aside.
I've never seen him at the point where I thought he was going to lose it, and I thought if he loses it with her, she's not going to be alive to talk to tell it to.
Well, that's why I was more protecting him than her. But at one point, I pulled this woman aside. And mind you, I'm the only other white person in the vicinity at this moment when I pulled this woman aside. And I said to her as nicely as I could, I think that we need to recognize that this isn't really our neighborhood, and we need to be respectful of the people who this is their neighborhood. Like that was basically what I said to her. Right.
And this is essentially Gaza in a nutshell, in the sense that we're going to make it our neighborhood. That's exactly what she did. She's like, I know it's not mine yet.
And then the next thing you know, after these things had happened, then the garden got like bought out from under us because somebody made our friend's friend an offer he couldn't refuse, kind of thing. And then the community garden was gone.
That's
because Karen didn't like it. That's ultimately what happened. So, yes.
Again, they are a doomed culture that should be wiped off the face of the earth, and hopefully they will. And why do we know that they
saved her? I shouldn't have saved her from herself.
No, in retrospect, she should have probably been found in a ditch in her CL55 Mercedes that she showed up in the neighborhood with. Somewhere in a ditch somewhere, because this, again, is how they operate. They just don't care. And to prove that this is all about Zio hell and not about Jews, leave it to friend of the show and one of Jen's absolute favorite people, David Spivak, to go infiltrate this terrible coffee shop that shouldn't have kicked out of.
If Peter ever meets an untimely demise, just for whatever reason, like David, I'm just saying, David would be my pick, like to stand in for Peter, guys. So just keep that in mind.
Poetica Coffee Shop to gather some evidence. This is the coffee shop where they served Zionist congressman Dan Goldman, but quickly refunded his money after realizing that he's a genocide supporter. So Alan Dershowitz is now trying to build a case against the entire coffee shop, claiming that they are anti-Semitic because they're anti-Zionist. And a quick refresher. Dershowitz is the same attorney who represented Jeffrey Epstein, who has publicly acknowledged receiving a massage from one of Epstein's accusers while denying any sexual contact because, he kept his underwear on. So if there's anyone who knows evidence, it's got to be this guy. So come in, let's see what happens.
Oh my God, Dershowitz.
I'll have you know that I am Jewish, I'm Israeli, but I'm anti-Zionist, and I just want to order an iced coffee with oat.
Look at his bag. everybody look at David's watermelon fanny pack. I love him. Look at his watermelon fanny pack. How cute is he?
There's nobody doing anything to Jewish people.
They're not.
Oh, this is perfect. Thank you so much. Have a really good day.
Exhibit A, Alan. I told them I was Jewish, and they still served me coffee. Very politely, I might add. Case closed.
I never saw a young underage woman.
Yet Epstein's former butler swore under oath that Dershowitz was at Epstein's residences at the same time underage girls were there.
Were there young women in another part of the house giving massages when I wasn't around? I have no idea of that.
Dershowitz did say he once received a massage at Epstein's mansion, but from an adult woman.
I kept my underwear on during.
Because that's what people do, Alan. Nobody keeps their underwear on during a massage. You fucking douche canoe. Who says that? By the way, the fact that you felt the need to add that is very telling, because you wouldn't need to ever say that, because people generally do expect people to be naked for a massage. So the fact that you felt the need to say that, and there is no universe wherein Dershowitz does not know everything that everybody needs to know about Epstein, about the island, about what went down, about all of it. All of it. Oh my God. I wish Norman Finkelstein had beat the shit out of that man when he had like an opportunity.
Yeah, that would have been really, really nice. That is listen, I can admit that's a cute watermelon bag. It's not something I would wear.
It was so cute.